South America. Like we have a couple of these birds walking around over here. Does anyone know what those birds are called? Not the ostrich, but that's very pretty. Even closer. They are actually the rhea. They're in the same rat-type family of flightless birds as ostriches and emus, both of which we'll see later on in our journey. Now, coming up, we see some of our American bison. We're going to see a bigger herd coming up, so we'll go a little bit into them as we see the bigger herd. Coming up on our left-hand side, we have our fallow deer. Now, fallow deer are very close cousins of the white-tailed deer, which is the most commonly found deer in America. Now, unlike other white-tailed deer that lose their spots as they grow older, fallow deer keep their spots throughout their entire lifetime, and they are very close cousins of the white-tailed deer. Again, only males have antlers, and they are true antlers because they are shed at the end of each mating season, and they regrow back each year. As they are growing back, they have this soft tissue called velvet growing on their antlers. That velvet helps to supply blood and nutrients to the growing antler. Once the antler is done growing, the velvet just falls right off. Now, coming up on our left-hand side, we have some more fallow deer as well as some Roosevelt elk. Can anyone guess which Roosevelt they were named after? Teddy Roosevelt, who was a huge conservationist. Now, just like the fallow deer, only the males have antlers, so they follow the same growth process in their antlers as the fallow deer with the velvet supplying blood and nutrients. We have one over near that housing area over there. Now, the male Roosevelt elk are called bull elk. The females are called cows. Males have a very distinctive mating call called a bugle, in which the female cows will bark in response. When fully grown, they can stand about 6 feet tall at the shoulder and weigh about 2,000 pounds. Now we have more of our American bison coming up. Now, when a bison is born, they weigh about 30 pounds. And they are bright orange in fur coloration. As they grow older, their fur color darkens, and they can get up to be about 2,200 pounds and about 6 feet tall at the shoulder. But despite that size, they can run as fast as a horse at about 35 miles per hour. Now, back before the westward expansion in the 1800s, bison herds used to number in the millions. But because they were so large, they were considered to be an obstacle. They were hunted almost to extinction. However, they are a true conservation success story, though, because due to conservation efforts, you can now see about 350,000 American bison in facilities just like ours, so they are here to stay and stay for many future generations. Now, they are sometimes referred to as the American buffalo due to their resemblance of the European buffalo. However, they have shaggier coats, shorter tails, and shorter horns than actual buffalo. Now, we do have another rhea coming up on this left-hand side here. Now, the rheas are a flightless bird from South America, and although they do not fly, they will use their wings as runners to kind of help balance themselves while running at great speeds. Only the males have that ring of black feathers around their neck. Females are all gray. Now, has anyone ever been to Africa before? No? We're going to travel through this ocean over here. It's probably the cheapest, quickest way we'll ever get into Africa. Now, it is in Africa where we'll find our largest animal, our tallest, as well as the fastest running bird. Can anyone guess who that might be? An ostrich. I see one coming up on our right-hand side here. Ostriches stand about 8 feet tall and weigh about 300 pounds. They can run speeds of about 45 miles per hour for short distances, but they can maintain speeds of about 32 miles per hour for those longer distances. Now, do you guys like eggs? An ostrich egg can be eaten, weighs about 2.5 to 3 pounds, and is equivalent to 12 of our chicken eggs. So imagine going into the store and trying out one large egg compared to a carton of 12 of our chicken eggs. Now, coming up on our left-hand side here, we'll see our lovely ladies of the safari, the African elephant. Can anyone guess how much an African elephant might weigh? A lot, right? They can be about 7 tons, which is equivalent to 14,000 pounds. They can also be about 12 feet tall at the shoulder. Now, their trunk alone has over 100,000 muscles in it, and they use their trunks like we would use our hands to pick things up, to eat, throw water and mud onto their backs. They are very avid swimmers, and they can actually completely submerge themselves underwater with their trunks above the water to help them breathe. Now we can tell the difference between an African and an Asian elephant due to the size of their ears. Their ears actually resemble the continent of Africa. Now both male and female African elephants have those ivory tusks, which are incisors that never stop growing. They could be about 8 feet long in length and weigh over 100 pounds. Now between the years of 1979 and 1989, unfortunately elephant populations have dwindled from 1,300,000 to less than 750,000. That large drop in population was because they were poached for their ivory tusks. Now there is an international ban on the trade of ivory, so conservationists are trying hard to keep the African elephants alive for future generations. Now, elephants are ruled by a matriarch, which is the oldest and the largest female elephant. Now, all the elephants that you see here, they are all female, and they have been here since the park opened in the 70s. They have a life expectancy of about 70 to 80 years in the wild alone, even longer under human care. Coming up on our right-hand side, we have Asian water buffalo. They typically spend about 90% of their day in the water. Skin's very thick and is often used as a leather, whereas their milk, which has more fat than domestic cattle, is used as a liquid butter in India. We have a white rhino scratching his neck against the rock over there. Now rhinos can be about 4,000 to 6,000 pounds, and they have 2 horns. Their horns are made up of the same substance as our hair and our fingernails. That is called keratin. So their horns are actually not true horns. If they are broken off or are cut off, as long as the root is intact, that horn will continue to grow throughout that rhino's lifetime. Now we're coming up to a group of Grant zebra. They are sometimes referred to a dazzle of zebra. Now the common question for the zebras are they white with black stripes or are they black with white? It's kind of a trick question because the Grant zebra are white with dark brown stripes. As they grow older, those stripes tend to darken. Now no 2 stripe patterns are alike, but what zebras will do is they will stand together so that their stripe patterns blend together and they appear as a larger animal to their predators. They have very good eyesight. Their eyesight is thought to be as good as a cat or an owl. Now when a baby is born, they can stand about 20 minutes after birth, and they can run within the hour. So very intelligent even as they are young. Another good look at a couple more of our white rhinos over there. Now you guys are probably wondering why we call them white rhinos when they're gray. And they're from the same area as black rhinos, who are also gray. They get their name from a misunderstanding of the local names. When the English settlers made their way over to Africa, the Africans were trying to describe them by saying that they had wide mouths. But the English settlers thought they were saying white. So the name is kind of simple. Now with that, does anyone have any questions on anything from Africa? We're now traveling through the wild plains of Africa, where we'll find a little bit more of our African hoofstock, as well as some peacocks. So keep those eyes and those ears open for them as well. Peacocks are originally from India, but they are used around the world as watchdogs because they are very loud and territorial. Does anyone know the difference between a male and a female? Peacocks are the only ones with the beautiful coloration in their plumage. The females, who are actually called peahens, are all gray. So coming up, we have a lot more ostriches in the wild plains as well. Males have the black and the white feathers. The females that we see have the gray feathers. Coming up on this left-hand side here, we see a peacock all the way in the back near the fence line, heading towards the housing area. Now those feathers are actually grown from his back and not his tail, and they lose their feathers each year during mating season. At that time, they will just molt and regrow. Coming up also on the left-hand side are the ellipsis waterbuck. They're very easily identified on the plains. They have that white circle marking around their rump. Kind of looks like a bullseye target. Over here on our right-hand side, we have our common eland. They are considered to be the second largest African antelope species behind, not the second, the largest antelope species. Sorry about that, guys. Getting a little ahead of myself. They can weigh about 2,000 pounds. Now, because of their size, they don't really run very fast, but they are very accomplished jumpers. They can jump about 8 feet in the air. We have our Dama gazelle in the back over here. Dama is the largest gazelle in the world, as one of the rarest. They are very critically endangered in the wild, with only a few hundred individuals left. They have this unique behavior known as pronking, where they'll stand on all four stiff legs and jump up and down. They use that behavior to help ward off other herd members. The predators are on their way. Now, coming up on our right-hand side here, we'll see our Bisa oryx. They are very good thermal regulators. They can raise their body temperatures to 116 degrees Fahrenheit, having heat leave their bodies to the surrounding cooling areas. They can spend long periods of time without water. They get their water intake from vegetation and the foods that they eat. Now we have a reticulated giraffe over here. They are the tallest land animal and ruminant in the world. It can be about 16 to 18 feet tall. Now this herd that you see on our left-hand side, we are very lucky to have because they are 100% extinct in the wild. So the small herds that we do have here, we are very lucky to have. They are the scimitar horn oryx. They too can raise their body temperatures to 116 degrees Fahrenheit and spend long periods of time without water. As you can see, they're doing great here. The off-road adventure, you see a couple calves. Now, who's excited to feed a giraffe? A couple of us? Yeah, we're almost up to our midway point at Camp Aventura, where you guys get the chance to feed a giraffe. Giraffe feedings are every hour on the half hour. So we'll actually see a couple of our reticulated giraffes coming up shortly on our left-hand side. Now, we talked about them being about 16 to 18 feet tall. They can weigh about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds as well. Their neck alone is 6 feet long, and that weighs about 600 pounds. But can anyone guess how many neck vertebrae they might have? Does anyone know how many neck vertebrae we have? We have 7. A giraffe that has a 6 foot long neck has the same amount of neck vertebrae that we do. So they have 7, we have 7. We'll get a good look over here on our left-hand side. Now, what do giraffes have on their bodies? Spots. Just like a zebra, where no two stripe patterns are alike, no two spot patterns on a giraffe are alike either. They have a 25-pound heart, and they need it to be this large because they need double the blood pressure to flow blood up to their brains against gravity. So we're now traveling into Camp Aventura, where you guys do